Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ben Thorpe with Farm Equipment Magazine. Welcome to our latest webinar in conjunction with the North American Equipment Dealers Association. Today's presenter is John Womack, Managing Editor of Iron Guides. Now, before he gets started, there's two things I wanted to show you. So at the bottom of your taskbar, you'll see a little Q&A icon. You can click there at any time during the presentation to ask your questions. And then at the end of the presentation, if we have time, we'll get through as many as we can, and John will answer your questions. Additionally, we are recording the webinar, and we'll have a replay of it available for everyone who registered. So that's all I have to cover. John, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben. As Ben mentioned, my name is John Womack. I'm the Managing Guide Editor of the Iron Guides. I've been with Iron Solutions for right around 7.5 years. When I think about it, I'm like, wow, it's been that long. So I started with Iron Solutions as a pricing analyst. I did that for about 5 years, and then I've been managing the guide for about 2.5 years now. So wanted to talk to everyone today about, equipment evaluations, some recent trends, that we're seeing. Also, how's the guides team looking forward at what we're seeing in the equipment market, and then also too going to share with you a little bit a few additions that we've made to our Iron Guides product on how to possibly streamline your equipment process. So to try to save you some time there. So without further ado, let's get going here. Okie doke. So first thing that I wanted to talk about is, what are we seeing in the overall equipment marketplace? So every single time that I've spoken to a dealer, they've always asked, where do these guide values come from? Is it really just an average of a bunch of reporting? Well, you're about half right. But also too, when I've asked them, hey, has anyone ever told you how much reporting we're actually dealing with? I would say 90 to 95% of them have told me no. So since we didn't tell you, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. So since January 1st of 2020, we've taken in, you can see there, 556,000 sold reports, which equals out to $61+ billion worth of used equipment sales since 2020. In the last year, we've taken in about 141,000, equals $19+ billion. This is inside of US. So I'll talk to you a little bit here in a second about what we're actually doing with that data once we get it, and why we believe that the way that we normalize our data is the best process. So before we go there, I shared US. I want to share Canada as well. Since 2020, 85+ thousand sold reports, which equals $17+ billion. In the last year, we're talking 22,000 sold reports, which comes out to $5+ billion. So when we start to think about sold reports, I've just thrown some big numbers out there. So, but in my opinion, it's, yes, you got to have the numbers, but also too, what are we doing with it once we get it in? So I have a team of 6 people that what they do is, and we do this with every single sold report. Say we get a combine sold report in. My team will check every single combine sold report that we get in for the correct type, make, model, and year. We're checking the usage on it, and we're checking the options on it. If it does not have one of those things that I just mentioned, then that is deleted. It is not. We can still see it, but it does not enter into the averages that we put together for ourselves when we're looking at the numbers for the guide. And the reason why we do not put that in there is because we do not believe that it is viable data. So when we get this sold report in, like I said, we're checking it for that type, make, model, year, usage, and options. So options, very big deal for us. So my team will go in, they'll start looking at these options, and then they'll start pricing the options out. So let's just say you have a combine that's got it's 4-wheel drive, it's got 520 tires up front, 750 tires out back, power folding grain tank with a 26-foot unloading auger. Well, when you're doing an appraisal inside of Iron Guides, all those things that I just mentioned cost money. So we have to be able to get that piece of equipment down to a base model. And the reason why we need to do that is so we can figure out the trajectory of where that class of machine is going. So because, and in order to figure out, in our opinion, in order to figure this out, it cannot be influenced by options. So therefore, you have to get them down to an apples to apples comparison. And the only way that you can do that is if you normalize what we call normalize the report and you get all the options out of it. So every single report that we get, there's someone looking at it and pulling these options out of there to get it down to the base model machine, the best that we can. So with that being said, let's move into a little bit of a market update. As you can see here on the side, you'll see this graphic with everything that we go through. What this data is built off of. So this is built off of over 5,000 sold reports that have all been through the process that I just explained. So what we're doing here is that we're going through and we're looking at the dealer cash and we're comparing it to the advertised. So a dealer advertised their machine for X, and then their actual cash value was X. And what is the percent difference between the two? So I started to kind of play around with this a little bit, and it really started to show me things that I kind of expected to see. But what I didn't really expect to see is that this has actually followed almost every single thing that has happened in the past 3 years with COVID and supply shortages and and everything else. So as you can see here at the very back end, when we were getting there's a little bit of an uptick right there. We were getting a little bit of what I call PPP money, government money. So we had a little bit of an uptick there, and then as you can see, this is where right here where I'm calling out the supply shortage. That's where the supply shortage kind of started, and then you can see here where the price stayed somewhat steady through your supply shortage, and then you can really start to see where we started to see weakness in the Class 7 combine market. Right around the beginning of 2023, maybe a little bit before that, is when we started to see this start to come down a little bit. I think, and you'll see it as we get into Class 8 and Class 9. I think Class 7's probably hung on maybe a little bit longer than Class 8's did, but we'll see that here in just a minute. So as you can see here, we're in a pretty steep downward trend. I don't think that this will be really news to anyone that combines are in a downward trend. However, one of the things that I have started to notice here at the end, and it'll be very interesting as we get some more sold data here towards the end to see if this stays where it's at. But see a little bit of a flattening here. Is this seasonality? Is this farmers are coming out of the field, they've harvested everything, and we're hearing some numbers. It's not a bumper crop, but it's probably a better crop than what they expected. So they've got a little bit of money to spend. But also too, we're thinking, okay, so are some dealers getting creative with financing? Are they getting creative with money that's on the table to buy this down or to buy that down? That's some of the feedback I've been hearing from dealers as I talk to them about some of the things that they're doing to try to get creative, try to move some of these machines. So same type of thing here for class 8 combines. 7,000+ sold reports is what we're looking at here. So as I was talking about with class 7s, the first downward trend for class 8s, we started seeing that right around September, October of last year, which is what we're calling out here. As contrast to class 7s, they hung on just a little bit longer. But as you can see here, a pretty steep downward trend here, and that's exactly what the guide's been doing. If you look at the guide last year, right around this time, and then compare it to this year, especially when you compare the winter guide of last year, and if you look at what the numbers are probably going to be in the winter guide of this year, you're going to see a pretty big difference. We have been adjusting late model combines about 6.5% to 7% per guide. which in normal times we wouldn't necessarily adjust them that far, but I'm sure everyone's aware that this is not normal times. And in order to try to stay with the market as much as we can, that's as fast as we've been turning them down. So to kind of put values to that, we're talking 30,000 $40,000 a guy is what we've been turning these down. And as you can see here, when you look at a steep curve like this, that's exactly what it's indicative of. Is that just in order to stay with the market, we've been having to do that. So class nines. So first signs of a downward trend on class nines was right around the same time as class eights, maybe a couple months after that. Oh, I just clicked the wrong thing here. Bear with me, guys. 1 second. Just clicked the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Okay, no. So as you can see here, so the first sign, like I said, about a month or two afterwards. So what my data is showing here is that we saw class eight start to falter first, class nines, and then class sevens. However, if you look here, class nines have not necessarily been on the steep decline as class sevens and class eights. We're not necessarily there's still a little bit of a downward trend here towards the end, but it's not as significant as the downward trend that we're seeing right here. So again, maybe we've got some seasonality there, and maybe some guys, some farmers, they've got a little bit more money to spend than what they thought. So out of combines, let's move right into large row crop tractors. You can see here, this line is made up of over 14,000 sold reports, and this is 2016 models and newer. So same thing here. We're talking about the PPP money, supply chain shortage, how we stayed, pretty much steady throughout the shortage, uptick, and then now we're down. Was actually talking to a dealer about this today. I remember sitting around talking to my team 6 to 8 months ago when we were trying to put the summer guide together, and I remember saying, I don't think that there's anything that we can do to get these large row crop tractors. So your 8Rs and your Magnums and so on, T8s, to where we need them to go. I mean, they're just absolutely insane of the amount of the values that these things are bringing. But then we fast forward 6 months, and now when we're looking at our guide values, it's like, okay, so how much can we pull these down, and how much can we get away with before we start shocking a bunch of people. And you can see it. We can see it right here that it's been pretty steady downward turn, but here in the last few months, it's been really downward. And if we start to look at the late model machines that have been going to the auction block, late model machines, low hours, it's pretty obvious to me that, and I've also been told this by dealers, is that they already know what they're getting back uh, this coming year, and they know what they have. And if they do not push some of these late model trades to the auction block, then they're going to end up in a double trade situation, which means they're going to have last year's crop and this year's crop sitting on the lot at the same time. And I don't know if anybody wants that, considering their holding cost is looking at about 7 to 7.5%. So that's the reason why some of these are going to the auction block, in my opinion, and what some dealers have told me, the way that they are. And yes, I did mention that we are looking at auction data, because we definitely are looking at auction data. Not just the prices that things are going for, but also the trend of what's going to the auction block. Because a bunch of older models going to the auction block means one thing. A bunch of new models that have been gently used means one completely other thing. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And we have to adjust our numbers to that, because that tells me that we're getting oversupplied. And the reason why we saw the uptick, as everyone very well knows, doesn't matter what it was, is that we were undersupplied. And it's a simple law of supply and demand. So when we start to see supply come back, a lot of things start to happen. And one of those things means the prices have to come down. And that's exactly what we're doing. So moving on to full wheel drive tractors. So these are wheeled full wheel drive tractors. I did split out track full wheel drive and wheeled full wheel drive tractors. So we'll get to track here in just a little bit. 3,500 plus sold reports. As you can see here, they are trending downward slightly. We're leveling off here at the end. We got a little bit of a flat curve there at the end. From what I've seen, from what I've been told, and from what my data is telling me, is that large row crop tractors are moving a little faster downward than four wheel drives are. I do believe that this all comes back to supply. But I do feel like that as we get into 2024, supply for four wheel drives will start picking up, and we will adjust the guide as things start to happen. Hopefully, we can get ahead of it a little bit and start to adjust those numbers a little bit faster, maybe than we have in the past, and be a little bit more proactive other than reactive. That's the whole plan for us moving forward as these markets start to come down. So told you I was going to split out track four wheel drive and wheeled four wheel drive. So here we are, 3,000 plus sold reports. As you can see here, track four wheel drives are not nearly as steep of a curve as we saw with large row crops or with wheeled four wheel drives. It's a little bit flatter, but also like we saw with some combines, and like we saw with some of the other tractors that we just looked at, is that we're looking flat here towards the end. And like I said, I think this comes back to seasonality. I think we're going to have some guys that are going to start trading a little bit, and crops may be looking a little bit better. The yields are coming out a little bit better than what they thought they were. But I think these track four wheel drives are going to hang on for a little while, probably just a little while longer. And when you see the numbers in the guide is probably going to adjust these down just a little bit, because I do feel like that the guide has maybe been a little bit higher on these four wheel drives than maybe what we should have been in the past. We were thinking that we were good, but as soon as we put the last guide out, we saw where maybe we should have adjusted them down just a little bit more. But we were kind of caught in the middle of that. We had some data that said that they were still good, and had some data that they were starting to fall down a little bit. So we were kind of in the middle of that, and we probably should have erred on the lower side of caution. So that's exactly what we're going to do with this winter guide. Okay, so to completely switch gears on everyone, let's talk about small tractors just for a second. So I did put compacts and utilities together because I do believe that that is indicative of what's going on in the general economy. So we're switching horsepowers, and we're also switching different types of economy. So where the other stuff is very indicative of the ag economy, talking about the smaller tractors that very much heavily depend upon the general economy. So talking to some dealers, I've been told by multiple that the amount of repossessions that they have gotten on compact utility tractors are almost staggering. And I believe that because I don't know if anyone saw it or not, but the last report that came out on car note delinquencies, how many cars are being repossessed, is at an all-time high. So usually those pretty much go hand in hand. So when dealers started telling me this, it wasn't too surprising because it definitely makes sense. But from a pricing end, from a supply end, from a demand side of things, that's not necessarily a good thing. So we're going to end up with repossessions. They've either got to go to the auction block, or they're going to end up on a dealer's lot somewhere. And that means we're just going to start pumping more supply back into the market. And when we do that, things have to come down. And that's exactly what's going on. And if you also start looking at a brand new compact tractor to where you can still get pretty close to 0% interest, and then you compare that to a 1-year-old, it does not matter if it has 3 hours or 5 hours or 10 hours. When you get off of that 0% interest and now you're going to 7 or 8, it's a tough sell. And we got to be at a pretty low dollar amount to be able to even think about selling it. Because especially now when we have hyperinflation, folks are spending more at the gas pump, folks are spending more at the grocery store than what they have in the past. We're not going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be pretty eager to write a 20, 30, $40,000 check without financing it. So this is something that we're watching here. This is something that we have in mind as we're putting these used values on these compact and utility tractors. We have to stay relative to what's going on. We have to stay relative to what our customers are telling us, which is that the values of these machines have to be right. They have to be low enough to where they can make it make sense. Because also too, to buy down these rates, and that's something I didn't really talk about when we were talking about combines, or even large tractors. To buy down some of these rates on these combines, you know, we have dealers that are digging into their pool funds, and they're having to dig into their pool funds as much as they, as much as they can, or as much as they want to. I guess you could say on these combines. Probably not going to be too eager to spend very much money on buying down a rate on a compact tractor. That's what I've been told, and that's what I suspect. So okay, so to switch gears again, let's talk about sprayers just for a second. In my opinion, this is a very interesting topic as far as sprayers are concerned, because I've heard from a lot of dealers that that we're still, somewhat short on some sprayers. Some dealers will say, "Hey, we're looking pretty good. We're looking right where we need to be," and then you'll speak to another dealer and they'll say, "Hey, we're actually pretty short." But it just kind of depends on the market, I guess. But as you can see here, we're down slightly. We're coming down slightly. It's definitely not a flat curve. It's definitely coming down there. But but it's not as fast as really anything else that we looked at as far as a downward trend is concerned. As I'm pointing out here in this graph, I feel like that it's very heavily on a low supply. But then again, again, different dealers giving us feedback. I do know there has been a lot of ordering going on this year of new sprayers. So what does that tell me? There's a lot of ordering that's going on, then there has to be trades coming in for those. I'm not going to say it's going to be one to one on trades, but there's probably going to be quite a few trades coming in. And when you have quite a few trades coming in, that means that a lot more sprayers are about to enter the market, the used market. So what that means is that could very much turn these values down. But we will see. I think that we're somewhere around 6 to 8 months out from that being a problem. Could be more than that. Could be 9 months, somewhere around in there. But this is something that we're very much paying attention to, because we do feel like that this is going to be the next one that's going to come back. And if we're not watching this, then we're going to get caught by surprise, and no one likes that. So we'd like to see this pitch coming in pretty slow, so we can adjust the guide to it. And like I said, be more proactive other than reactive. So we just talked about a market update. So and about how the guide, how we're forecasting things out, a little bit, and what our 2 cents is, moving forward. So we'd like to switch gears here and talk to you about a new tool that we actually upgraded. We've had a comparables tool since 2016, but we just went through a very big upgrade on this tool. So I wanted to talk to you about it real quick. So I'm actually going to go out of my presentation real quick, and I'm going to bring up just a live demo. So since this demo is live, if anything glitches, y'all just bear with me. So I went in and selected a S670 John Deere combine. Going to look at a 15 model. Right around an 8-year-old combine, but there's still plenty of them out there. So we didn't know there was a 2015. Of course, we can come over to our serial number here, look at our serial number breaks that we get directly from Deere. And you can kind of match them up from there, and you'll find the correct year. So I'm just going to do the north central region. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to look up some values. So as you can see here, average hours on this combine 1365 is what we have right now, and we have I just went in and put in separated hours of 1950. So a little bit over what our average is, and we're going to adjust this combine down almost about right around $16,000. So I'm going to go through here. I've already selected some options. We got 520/42s up front for those tires. Going to be a four-wheel drive combine. 750/26s out back. Power cast tailboard, 26-foot unloading auger, and we got a custom cutter extended wear package. So this should look very familiar to all of you that have an Iron Guide subscription. If you do not have an Iron Guide subscription and you want to know more about this and where these values come from up here, where the values come from down here, or how we came up with this usage adjustment, or anything outside of that or inside of that, please let me know. I will have all of my contact information available at the end of this presentation. But also too, if you're a customer and you would like more insight on any of this, also please let me know, and I'll talk to you as long as you want to. So from here, after you have done your appraisal, you'll come down here and you will click check comparables. So when you click check comparables, this is a screen that is going to open up. So this is a new product that we've had for the past two or three months now, and we're very, very proud of it. However, this is the first and second iteration that we have of this product. We will continue to build upon this, but would definitely love getting feedback from our dealers, from our customers, of how we can make this better. So I've always said there's never bad feedback. So definitely love getting feedback from our customers of how we can better serve you. That's what it's all about. So I'll start across the top, and then I'll go down the bottom, or go down the side here. So what we have here, dealer sold reports. So remember the dealer sold reports that I was telling everyone about? My team, this is what they do. This is the options that they go and select. So I will talk about the option descriptions here in just a second, because I definitely want to make sure that I touch base on this real quick. But you will be able to see all of our dealer sold data. Of course, as you can see in here, we are giving you the state, but we're not necessarily giving you serial numbers or the dealership that it came from or anything like that. We try to keep this as anonymous as we possibly can, because for one dealer, it might be real nice to see what their neighbor is selling it for, but I would be willing to guess that you don't want your neighbor seeing what you sold it for. So we try to keep it as anonymous as we possibly can. So across the top here, we're going to move over to auction data, and then you also have your advertised data as well. And then when you go through your dealer sold, your auction, and your advertised, I'll tell you how you can select different pieces of equipment here in just a second. But as soon as you're done selecting them, you will be able to see your high, low, and your average. Notice a blank here that says my sold. I'll also talk about that here in a second as well. So let's go back to dealer sold. Let's say that you're a dealer and you are in Iowa, Minnesota, one of the Dakotas, or something like that. So you obviously don't want to be looking at your southern regions, for this combine, and you probably don't want to be looking at the Northeast either. You probably just want to be looking at the Northwest, North Central, right around in there. So you can take those two regions out. We're going to remind you of what the separator hours was on that combine, so you don't having to go back and forth. There's no second guessing. There's no this. There's no that. There's no double clicking. We want to keep you on this screen. So here's your options that you selected. So as you're doing your appraisal, we're building these comps for you. So we're automatic. So all those options that you selected inside of here, they're going to be set. They're going to be selected right here. Which brings me to another thing that my team does when we're talking about this reporting data. Remember, I was telling you that we look at every single option differently on every single piece of equipment. We go in there and we match them up. So let's just say that we get a report from one dealer on a combine, and they say that this combine is a four-wheel drive combine. We have another dealer that says it's a power rear-wheel drive. We have another dealer that says this is power rear assist, and another dealer that says this is axle rear powered. Well, those are all the same option, but I just listed about 5 different ways that option can be listed inside of a sold report. And I would be willing to bet if I asked anyone on this call how they would name it, I would probably get 5 to 10 more. Well, the way that we take care of that is that let's just say that we get this combine in and the dealer tells us that it's a power rear axle. Well, my team consists of over 125 years worth of equipment experience, and they have enough experience to say that, you know what, that's actually axle rear powered axle 2-speed. And the reason why it's labeled that way is because that's exactly the way that John Deere labeled it inside of their price pages in 2015 for an S670 combine. So therefore, that's the way it's labeled here. So this is a 100% match to this axle rear powered axle 2-speed. And since we do that with every single option, and it is a match all the way across, we can give you something like this over here on the side, which, as you can see, 86%. You see this little green bar right here. What this means is that based on the dollar amount of the options that you selected, it is an 86% match to this comp. Okay, so there's no. This is this is a 86% apples to apples comparison is what you're looking at here. You don't have to worry about these. Is this a 2-wheel drive combine? Is it a 26-foot unloading auger? Does it have the right tires on it? Does it do this? Does it do that? Because we're going to tell you right here in this score, and then of course we're going to give you the details. So if you want to dig further into the details, you most definitely can. But it's all about time, and it's all about time savings. I'm sure many of you would agree that if we can just save you 5 minutes per appraisal, that equals out to a lot of time at the end of the year when we're talking about appraising equipment. So, and time is a very valuable thing that we're never going to get back. So why not save as much of it as we can? And that's exactly what this is going to do. So when you come up here across the top, you will see where you have a selected average and then you have a filtered average. So out of the 489 reports that we have for this combine, we feel that 357 of them are pretty close, somewhere around the realm of when we feel like someone would want to look at them. But if you want to narrow your search down a little bit, pay attention to your graph here. If you want to narrow down your search a little bit, you can look at 30 days. And you can see here where your axis here did change, and you can see where your piece of equipment is appraised. And if you pay attention to where it falls within these, you will see that it changes every single time that we change this. So there was your 30 days. Here's your 90 days. Here's your 180 days, and then here's your 365. So when you're looking at a 365, yeah, it looks like it's close to the middle, but you're looking at a year's worth of reporting here. So why not whittle this down a little bit further and say, you know what, actually, I'm right around where I need to be when I'm looking at this sold data. And if you really want to check it, you can hover over the top of it, and this will tell you, where your options are, what it listed for, what it sold for. Okie doke. Let's keep going here. So here's your model years. So that S670 was made from 2012 to 2017. We're going to give you all those model years. So this is a 15 model. So if you want to take out a few of them and you want to just look at both sides of that model to see what's going on there, you can. As soon as you take them out, you can see where it just resorted everything. So now you're actually getting down to where you need to be. You're looking at 14 out of 498 solder ports within a couple clicks. And as you can see where I talked about your selected average, we're going to automatically select some for you to try to make it as easy for you as we can. But if you want to unselect all, you can click reset, or you can click select all. You can only click view selected if you want to. Whatever way you want to do it, this is exactly the way that we tried to build it for you. So if we keep coming down here. So I'm looking at all solder ports right now. So let's just say that you're a dealer of ours, and you submit your sold data. To us. First of all, thank you very much for submitting your sold data to us. It's a very big help to me and my team. But if you submit it to us, you can go in here. You can click My Sold Reports, and you can look at your sold data that's been through my team, that's been cleaned up, that's been matched up, and you can compare that to every single other thing that's out here on the dealer sold side. So that's another good thing about reporting to us, is that now it makes it inside of our tool, and we can show you exactly how we're using it. So we'll come over here to the auction side. We're doing exactly the same thing with the options on the auction side as we're doing on the dealer sold side. Okay. So as you can see here, axle rear powered axle 2-speed. It's 100% matched up. You can see over here that this one's pretty close, but it's not a dead on match. Sometimes you'll find dead on matches on the auction side. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. It just kind of depends on the descriptions that we get from the auction company. Some are very good about giving those descriptions to us, and some of them are not. But we do the best that we can with the data that we can. As you can see here, we still get quite a bit of data from the auction companies. So advertised. So it is not going to be this way for very much longer, but we're currently not matching up options on the advertised side. I want to make that very clear, so someone's not looking at this and saying, hey, where's this matched up at? I want to be very open and transparent about that. However, you can come through here and you can still sort any way that you want to. Your newest date, your oldest date. You can sort by usage. You can come over here to your filters, and you can filter this down by any region that you want to. You can still filter it down by your year if you want to, and you can filter it down by your dates if you'd like to. So all this functionality is still here, except for your options. So you got to read just a little bit more in here to kind of narrow this down. So, and once you're done with all of your analysis, then this is kind of your summary. So you got your sold, you got your auction, and you've got your advertised. And if you're reporting to us, like I said, thank you very much for your sold data. If you're not reporting to us and you would like to learn how to, please let us know. We would love to get you hooked up and make that an easy thing for you as possible. And also too, if you're not reporting to us, and also if you would like to know, there is a discount that we give for that as well. If you'd like some more information on that, let me know. Let your sales rep know. Like I said, we'll have contact information for everyone here at the very end. So here's your summary: sold, my sold, auction, advertised, and then we are going to give you all of these here that you selected as well. So you can see here, starting from the top, here's your advertised, and then here's all your iron guides. Here's some auction. Here's some auction that's mixed in. If you'd like to do a save and download, you can click this button right here, and it will come up with a PDF. Let me see if I can get it to do it real quick. Yeah, okay. So this is a complete printout of what we just talked about. Here's all the options that we selected and the values that they added to it. You can see that here. And as we scroll down, here's your comps. So some of them have more on them than others as far as your descriptions, but you have all of them right here, nice and neat for you. So you can print this out, you can staple it inside of a deal, or you can just save it to your computer if you would like. If you would like to as well, anything that you want to do there. Okie doke. So now that we have been through our comps tool, let's move on to what else is happening with the guide. So we've talked about our market update. We talked about this new comps tool that that we have, or the addition to this new comps tool that we've had for quite some time now. So what else is happening? Had a lot of dealers ask me this question. So the first thing is that, and this is these next few things that I'm going to talk about, I want to be very clear that this is 100% driven by dealer feedback. So I've been, speaking ever since I took over this position about 2.5 years ago. I guess you could say I've been pounding the pavement, reaching out to as many dealers as I can, getting their perspective on the guide, and trying to figure out where we can do better. But also to making sure that we all have an understanding of where these values come from. What are we doing behind the scenes? And when we have to make an adjustment, why are we doing that? What data are we looking at? So on and so forth. So throughout these conversations, there's been a lot of good feedback that I've gotten, and so now we're getting to the point to where we're going to start making some more additions. So first of all, I don't know if anyone noticed it or not. I hope that some of you did. That we did make a change to our usage adjustment in our summer guide that was released on June 1st. So we increased the dollar amount of every piece of equipment that's inside of our guide, some more than others. So if you like, so as an example, everything, I believe everything across the board got depending on what it is, a 40 to a 45% increase. So if you're thinking about like a combine, for instance, 22 model combine, it is now $98 an hour, to where in the past it was $70 an hour. So everything got that same percentage except for forage harvesters. Forage harvesters got a 50% increase. So if you'd like to talk to me more about that, like I said, contact information will be up here in just a minute. Please let me know. Like I said, I'll spend as much time with you as you want to, talking through this thought process. So that was the first one that we did. And then we went through the fall guide, which was released on September 1st, and just kind of let things kind of ripple out a little bit to see where we were. We didn't want to try to make it too many changes too fast. So we kind of let it ripple out. So now here we are into the winter guide that we are going to be publishing on December 1st. So what we are going to do is we are going to make a change to our depreciation rate of our hours. When I was doing my demo there just a second ago, you probably noticed that in our usage adjustment, it says it's a variable rate. It's not necessarily giving you a dollar amount per hour. So that is a sliding scale. So what we're going to do is we are going to make an edit to our scale of how fast it actually slides. So we're gonna tone it down a little bit and make it a little bit more of an even downward curve. The reason for this is that, as you heard me talk about in our market update, supply is coming back. We have more pieces of equipment in almost every single type that's going to be entering into the market. If it hasn't already done so, it's going to in the very near future. So when this happens, and this is what customers have told me as well, and this is just when us sitting around talking, but also vetting this with customers as well, is that when you have more equipment that enters into a market, what do you have? You have more to choose from. So therefore, these higher houred machines, we've got to make sure that we're hitting them. We got to make sure that we're hitting them hard, and we got to make sure that we're not overextending ourselves in those trades. Kind of the same thing, but in an inverse relationship with the lower houred stuff. the primo combines, the primo tractors. Those are still going to take the premium, and they're still gonna fetch a good dollar amount. And then your average, they're still going to be somewhere, somewhere around that average of where they need to be. But those high hour machines, as I had a dealer tell me this morning, we got to make sure we're knocking those in the head. And that's exactly what this adjustment is going to do. So after we make this adjustment, like we always do, we'll go back and we'll reanalyze everything that we've done, and then we will see if there's anything else that we need to be doing with those dollar amounts on those usage adjustments. We will continue to reach out to customers about it. We will continue to do our due diligence on analyzing our sold data, and see where things kind of come out. But also too, like I said, before we start to do anything, we will make sure that we heavily vet this through our customers to make sure that we're not making a misstep. Feedback from our customers, as you can tell, is one of the most important things to us. We want to make sure that that our thinking is in line with our customers. And the reason why that is because we're making a guide for the dealer. So why not get the dealer involved in the making of this guide? What a concept. So the second thing that I want to talk about, another piece of feedback that we've gotten from dealers is when we release our new year model inside of the guide. So traditionally, we have not released this new year model until December 1st, our winter guide. So as you know, that 2023 models are not in the guide yet. This has been a pain point for quite a few dealers. Dealers have reached out to me and let me know that this is a pain point for them, and said, "Hey, John, we understand that that you've been doing a lot to try to make this guy better, but man, this would really make a big difference for us." So, like I said, I like to listen to our customers, and then I like to take the feedback, and then we try our best to do something about it. So, moving forward next year, we will be putting the 2024 year models in the guide a full 3 months ahead of schedule, which will be September 1st with our fall guide. This is the first time I think that I've announced it to this many people. So that is going to be the new standard. I would personally like to get some things out to you all before then, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see on how pricing comes in, and how the markets are, and stuff like that. So, but at the very latest, we will have that to you, like I said, a full 3 months ahead of schedule, September 1st, so we can start to make some trade decisions on those new year models. Okay, as I said, here's my contact information. My name is John Walmack. Here is my email address and my phone number. Please feel free to shoot me an email anytime. I will email you back. Please feel free to call me anytime. If I do not answer, please leave me a voicemail, and I will call you back. It might take me a day or so, but I will call you back. And please bring me all the feedback, whether it's good, bad, doesn't about the guide, does not matter. Like I said, there's no bad feedback. We want to hear it all, because being in touch with our customers, and all of us talking is how we get better, and we're better working together, and that's exactly what we want to do. So other than that, thank y'all very much for your time. And then I think we might have I can see a couple questions here, but I'll let Ben handle that.
Right on schedule. Thank you very much, John. Yes, we do have some questions. So one person was wondering if you'd be willing to send them the slides, if that's something you're able to make available.
Believe we might be able to work that out. Are they interested in everything? Are they interested in like the market update, or is it kind of everything?
It seems like a request for everything, but
Okay.
I can show you who requested that later.
Yeah.
Someone was wondering if your sold report data includes auction data points.
So inside of here, we're just looking at some retail sold data. However, we do get auction data, but this is what we're seeing from the retail side. You can see the auction data inside of comp. So we are looking at that. We are looking at the trends for that. But as far as the numbers that I just gave you, that does not have auction data in it.
Okay. One question I had was, and I believe you mentioned customer interactions, and you and I had spoken about that even just the other day. Wanted to know if there's anything you'd learned from them that maybe we haven't covered here, if there's more you can expand upon there.
Yeah. So, um, you know, I guess it's the old saying, you don't ever know till you ask. So when I came into this position, like I said, 2.5 years ago, I guess I kind of took it for granted that a lot of our customers understood how we operate. When we're making a change, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? But when I started, asking customers, I figured out that a lot of them did not necessarily understand exactly why we did things, and the reason why is because we never asked them. Because I guess we were operating under the assumption that they knew. But like I said, you don't necessarily ever know till you ask. So, when I start asking customers, hey, where, in your opinion, where do these values come from? I would say probably 7 out of 10 times it's an average of your sold data. And like I said in the very beginning, you're about half right. We're looking at sold data, of course, but all the sold data that we have is very much a rear view look at what's going on. And as you heard me say throughout this presentation, proactive other than reactive. So how do we do that? Well, it's the folks that I have that work for me, and also too the experience that I have as well. So one of the gentlemen that works for me, or works with me, not for me, with me, he used to actually own his own dealership, and he's been in the equipment industry pretty much since he could walk. But he's been with us for 18 years. The other gentleman, he's been a used equipment manager. He's also been a territory manager. He's also been a store manager on the ag equipment side, and he's been with us for about a year and a half now. And then not to mention the rest of the team that I have that edits the sold data that I was telling you about. Together, we're comprised of over 125 years worth of equipment experience. So that's a big part of it. But as far as being I know I walked around the barn there. I'll come in the back door, I promise. But that is the thing that I learned. I guess is that we as Iron Solutions have to be more intentional about explaining what we're doing to our customers and why we're doing it, and making sure that our customers understand what we're doing. And that is something that is at the very top of my list to continue to do.
Well said. Okay. I'll wait a second here. If anybody else has any additional questions, now's your time to pop them in there, and John and I can take a look at them. But what I was going to ask, John, for my own sake, is we've definitely covered a lot of good stuff here. If there's one key takeaway that you'd like everyone today to leave with, what would you say that would be? If they only bring one thing back with them, what should they bring back?
Feel free to reach out. I have a very much an open door policy, and we all do as well. Is that I keep talking about feedback, and how much I love talking to our customers. That is one of the big takeaways that I would think that other than the markets and what we're seeing, what we're doing, and everything like that. I love building relationships with our customers, and I feel like that's the way that we all get better. So that would be my biggest takeaway, is that reach out. If you're seeing something that you're not quite agreeing with, please let us know. If you're disagreeing with a price, please let us know if an option doesn't look right. It doesn't matter how big or how small you might think it is. To me, it's all big things. We want to make sure that we're getting down to the problem, and we're getting to a solution, and we're doing it very quickly. That's the whole thing. Is that you can bring me all these these issues you might be having, but if I'm not reacting to what you're bringing me quickly, then what positives would that make for you? That's the thing, is that we want to identify the issue, we want to fix it quickly.
Mhm. Okay, and we did get one last question here. Someone was wondering if you think that RC tractors will improve at year end.
That's I think that we're going to see some buyers come in, like I was talking about before. Um, I think, and this is probably not across the U.S. and Canada, but I have been hearing quite a few reports that, as farmers are finishing up harvest, that the corn, the beans looked a little bit better than what they maybe thought. Uh, like I said, it's very indicative of where you are. So from that end, I do think that that things will improve a little bit, towards the end. However, I do think that dealers are going to have to stay creative with these interest rates. Whether that means, we're going to give you X amount of percent back on your trade. So your trade's worth X. We're going to give you 15% of that to use towards financing or to use towards buying the new one down or anything like that. Or it's doing finance promotions. It's doing this. It's doing that. There's a lot of different things that dealers can do, and I do think that we're going to have to stay pretty well creative with that. But I do think that we're going to still have some buyers going into the wintertime. But with that being said, I do think we're going to see equipment sitting on some lots, and I think dealers already know that, and that is the reason why they've been pushing equipment, late model equipment, low hour equipment to the auction block, and we saw that in the summertime. We got some more auctions coming through now, and I think that we're going to see it. We're going to see it again. And the reason why that is like I was talking about. If you're not doing it now, a lot of dealers are going to end up with a double crop situation, a double trade situation. So that's going to lighten up inventory, but we're still going to see some buyers. But are they going to improve immensely? I would say, probably not. But are they just? I mean, is anything just going to fall completely out of the sky? I don't think so either. But if you're looking at the guide, we will be pulling some money out of late model row crop tractors, no matter what the brand is, because we believe that it's time.
All right. Well, with that, with 2 minutes to spare, I think we can call it right there. So I'd like to thank everybody who joined us today. Today's presentation and audio will be available on the Farm Equipment website. In the event you want to go back and review it, you can watch your emails from us for more information on that. So on behalf of John, the North American Equipment Dealers Association, and all of us at Farm Equipment, thanks again for joining us today. Feel free to reach out and let us know what you thought of this event and if there's any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So with that, I'll tell everybody to have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, John.